Hey, this is Prachi. 11th English 1.2. On to the summit, we reach the top. It is written by Tenzing Norgay. 29 May 1914 to 9 May 1986. Known by birth as a Namgyali Wangdi and often referred to as Sherpa Tenzing, was a Nepal Indian shepherd mountaineer. He was one of the two first individuals known to reach the summit of Mount Everest, which he accomplished with Edmund Hillary on 29 May 1953, honored by Tiger Medal in 1938, Star of Nepal 1953, Padma Bhushan 1959. Tenzing describes the climb to the mount top and all events occurred during the historical climb. The article also describes what brought him to climb mountains. Lesson. On to the summit, we reached the top. When we left Camp 9 on Friday morning, I was determined to get to the top on this day. That morning I remember thinking I was to get on the top even if I die. I was not afraid to die that day. When we set out early and all the way from Camp 9 to the peak we altered. Altered meaning changing places. I would take the lead and then Hillary. The man who follows when climbing has a difficult job, both in climbing up and climbing down. He is an anchor, meaning a person who leads the group or a team. The man going in the lead cuts the steps and breaks the way. In the pocket, I had 4 flags. When we were still at the Camp 4, Colonial Hunt gave me 3 flags, those of Britain, the United Nations and Nepal. He charged me with the duty of planting them on the top of the world. When these 3 flags are in your care, he said, when you and Hillary reach the top, put them at the peak. I am sure that you and Hillary are going to do it. I told Colonel Hunt that I was carrying the Indian flag with me and I would like to be on the top with the other flags. I had to ask Colonel Hunt's permission in his capacity as leader of the expedition. Indian flag. Colonel Hunt said, by all means, I am glad to know that you bought an Indian flag. After 1 hour of steady going, we cut across from the south face and started up the west side, where we had to pass up a steep line of rock. This was slow and difficult. Once we had cleared this, there was nothing barring our way to top but a snow covering incline, sloping less and less as it neared the top, sloping, slanting up or down. These last 60 or 70 feet up the top were not very dangerous, but we kept up the same steady pace, and we reached the small flattened summit almost together. Summit, the highest point of the hill or a mountain. During the last 50 feet from the peak, Hillary and I were moving about 20 feet apart. We were tied together with a rope. Most of the time the rope was loose, but when we went out over dangerous ground, we drew it taut. This rope was a symbol. It tied us together. One could not move without the other. We were not two individuals but a team. I was asked many times who was first. When we were within reach to the summit, I did not think of who was going to be first. I am sure that Hillary was not thinking that. Climbing takes all your attention. You have many more important worries. What does it matter when I reach the top first or Hillary? Our main thought was that both of us reached the top. We had to. One couldn't do it alone. If there had been a difference of 1,000 feet between us, then one could make the claim that who was first. But even then, only the man behind him could confirm the distance between the two of them. When we reached Kathmandu, we discovered that a controversy has arisen. We talked it over, Hillary, Colonial Hunt, and I. We agreed that all the talk was childish. So we made a pact, and each of us signed it in the office of the Prime Minister of Nepal. Each one signed its own statement. I have two copies of Hillary's statement which I carry in my pocket. Controversy, prolonged public disagreement or heated discussion. Pact, a formal agreement between individual or parties. It reads, Kathmandu, June 22, 1953. On May 29th, Tenzing Sherpa and I left our high camp on Mount Everest for our attempt on the summit. As we climbed upwards to the south summit, first one and then the other would take the turn at leading. We crossed over the south summit and moved along the summit ridge. We reached the summit almost together. We embraced each other, overjoyed at our success. Then I took photograph of Tenzing holding aloft the flags of Great Britain, Nepal and United Nations and India. Signed E.P. Hillary. There is another paper like this in English signed by me. Thus, we will not take part in any controversy. As the statement says, Hillary and I embraced when we reached the top. We did as well as our bulky equipment would let us. I remember saying to him, "We have done it," but we couldn't hear. We had our oxygen mask on. Ridge, a long narrow piece of raised land. Embrace, hug, hold someone closely in one's arm. My first thought on reaching the top was a sense of gratitude to God that having failed 6 times, He blessed me with the fulfillment of His desire I had held so long. I placed on the summit the offering to God that I had carried with me. This is in accord with my religion. Both my wife and I are Buddhist. I could not kneel because of my clothes and equipments, but I offered a silent prayer in my heart. The offerings were biscuit, candy, and a little blue pencil. My youngest daughter, Nima, had given me the pencil before I left home. She asked me to put it on the top of the mountain as her offering. It was an ordinary blue pencil, not even a long one, but it was one of her prized possessions. As I put it down, I pointed it out to Hillary. He gave me a big smile, showing that he understood. Then I got out the flags which I had on piece of string about 4 feet long. I fastened one end to in my Ice X, and Hillary took pictures as I held it up. As I had to bring my Ice X down with me, I buried one end of the string in the ice on the top, and the snow is other in the snow on the slope down below. When we left, they were lying flat against the summit. I was very thirsty. I took out water tumbler for a drink, but found the water in the metal container had frozen. So I couldn't quench my thirst. I ate some biscuits and offered some to Hillary. Quench, satisfy one's thirst. I was wearing a red scarf which my great friend Lambert, leader of 1952 Swiss expedition, had given me last year. It was just a year ago, on May 28th, when we were standing at 215 feet, that he gave me a scarf. I wore it all the way up the mountain from Darjeeling. As I stood at the top, I remembered him and felt that he was with me. I felt absolute fit at the summit. My mind was absolutely clear. I didn't feel tired, I feel exhilarated. It was very clear sensation. Meaning of exhilarated, very happy and excited. Below, all the hill and mountains looked like god and goddesses to me. The plain below looked like so many broken pieces of the map. 2 or 3 people could stand there on the roof of the world. If you cut ice 20 or 30 feet below the top, there was enough flat square for 2 people to sleep. You could pitch the tent there. The summit is flat on one side and steep on the other side. There is snow on the northern side, rock on the south and east, and snowy rock on the west. We stayed on top a little more than 15 minutes. We were lucky that there was no gale or it would have swept us off. My next thought was how to get down safely. Meaning of gale? Strong wind. On the descent from the summit, I was walking behind Hillary. I was following him and holding the rope tightly, and my determination was to make sure he descended safely. I must say that the climb down was more difficult and dangerous than the climb up. If you slipped down, you would go to Kanso Glacier and there would be no trace left of you. More cautious needed. Of course, it took less time climbing down. You needed more hussar caution. When I reached Camp 9, my first thought was, thank God we have been spared an accident. And if up to snow there have been no accidents, I hope there will be none in future. I had always prayed to God and He had saved me. At Camp 9, Hillary and I were in no mood for talking anything. We just attended to our own thing. We stayed there about half an hour. We boiled some snow to make lemon water and drank it. When we left, we took only our sleeping bags and left everything else behind in the tent. From Camp 9 to Camp 8, where we spent the night, was an easier job, just because the Camp 8 where the other could see this. I raised my arm with my thumbs up. CWF. Noisy add WG. Larry saw us and their faces flushed with joy. In this way, I was able to tell them one of our success. As we got nearer the camp 8, Lavi came to us and came up about 300 feet with the tea and coffee. Another 50 feet we met Noisy, who bought us more tea. This tea smelled kerosene. Apparently, it had been made in hurry and somehow some kerosene got into the welcomed cup. But I thought since the gentleman had taken so much trouble to bring it, I was going to enjoy it whatever it smells. From Archive of TOI, Tenzing, Norway. Meaning of flushed, excited or elated by something. Apparently, as far as one knows or one can see. Subscribe the channel for more such content. Thank you for watching.